Hi everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Clark Wolf, and this is our daily show bringing you the latest in movie news and insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief John Campea. John, good morning.
Good morning. Greetings and salutations, everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of recovering from that episode of Game of Thrones the other night. Claire, Amy, good morning.
And also joining us this morning is AMC Movie News Associate Editor Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, good morning.
Good morning, Clark. Hey, Giovanni.
We're all going by code names today.
Or are we?
The cast of the new Marvel Super Team film Guardians of the Galaxy continues to shape up, as it has been just announced that Academy Award-winning actor Benicio Del Toro has joined the cast. There is no official word on which character Del Toro will play, but it is being reported that it's a multi-picture deal with options for a character who will also be involved in future Marvel films. Del Toro joins a cast already comprised of Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana, Glenn Close, Karen Gillan, and John C. Reilly, who is reportedly playing a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent assigned to as a liaison to the Guardians. John, what do you think of Del Toro's addition to the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, I mean, one of the things I always start with is that it's never a mistake to add talent. And Benicio Del Toro is he's an Academy Award level talent. He's incredible. He's amazing. It does raise the question a little bit about who on earth he's going to be playing, because all the key characters are already been cast. Obviously, I don't think you're going to sign him to a multi-picture deal to be the voice of Rocket Raccoon, nor of Groot, the walking Ent. So I don't see that as happening. So, but here's the problem I'm having. For the first time, I'm starting to develop a little bit of apprehension about Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got some great talent in there. I really like Chris Pratt. I really like Benicio Del Toro. I really like Zoe Saldana and all this kind of stuff. It just seems like a very odd mixture of characters, a very odd mixture of people that I'm not really sure how they're going to pull all this together. And I'll be quite honest with you, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, I said a long time ago that, hey, yeah, nobody knows who the Guardians of the Galaxy are, but don't you worry. In Iron Man 3 and probably in Thor and probably in Captain America, they're going to probably introduce us to elements of Guardians of the Galaxy, so that by the time Guardians of the Galaxy comes around, everybody will know who the Guardians of the Galaxy is. Well, they didn't do it for Iron Man 3, clearly. I don't think they're going to have anything ready to put something in either Captain America or Thor, because I think both films are now finished shooting, or at least Captain America is getting close to finishing shooting. And the addition of Del Toro, I mean, and here's the interesting thing. Marvel is notorious for being very stingy about how much they pay their actors, aside from Robert Downey Jr., clearly. They're very stingy. Del Toro backed out of being Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness, reportedly because he wasn't happy with the financials of it. So how much was Marvel able to get Benicio Del Toro for to sign up for a multi-film deal? A lot of interesting questions here, but that's kind of my initial take on it. Amy Rose, what about you? How do you see this whole thing?
As your attorney, I must advise you, Fear and Loathing, so good. I love Benicio Del Toro. Usual Suspects, one of my favorites.
Yes.
Snatch, Traffic. I mean, the man can do everything. He really is just such a diverse, talented actor. I will agree that the ensemble is shaping up to be rather interesting. Not as weird as maybe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but definitely still interesting. But it's undeniable there's a lot of talent here. So the real question will be if they have chemistry, who will turn out to be who. But I think that, you know, adding Del Toro to just about anything is great. And I know that it sounds like most of the villain roles are gone, but he's such a good villain. He's such a complex bad guy, and I'd really like to see him take that role. But it sounds like maybe that's not going to be the case. Who knows? We could throw a lot of villains in here. But yeah, I love him as an actor. I'm still cautiously optimistic. I do have faith in this production, but we don't want it to become diluted, and you know, the cast is getting rather stacked. So it will be interesting to see the last couple of confirmation of who's playing who, but I love him as an actor, and I'm happy to see just the state of Marvel universe just continuously raising the bar with just these high caliber actors. So,
as an addendum to that, it should be noted that there have been some rumors online that he may be playing the villain.
I hope so.
That he might even be Thanos. There's some people talking that he might even be Thanos. In which case, okay, multi-picture deal that he would appear in other films.
Yeah.
That would fit with Thanos. it would disappoint me if he's Thanos, so because with Benicio Del Toro, I kind of want to see Benicio Del Toro, but it would be an interesting development if that happened.
And I'm glad that Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan because he was so good as the role. And as much as I love Del Toro, I definitely am glad that Benedict had it. I thought he was a great addition to the Star Trek.
Could it be true? It looks like the long gestating Warcraft movie actually has a start date. According to our friends at the movie site /Film, producer Charles Roven has indicated that shooting on the movie is set to begin in the first quarter of 2014. Roven said, "We're moving forward. Obviously, Legendary is making that film, and I'm having a great time with Duncan." Duncan is, of course, director Duncan Jones, who has also directed such films as Moon and Source Code. John, is a Warcraft movie actually going to happen?
It looks like it's actually going to happen, and we've talked at length before about how I'm looking forward to it. I think this could be the first truly, really good video game adaptation and all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, once again, maybe I'm paranoid today. I got a nervous twitch about Warcraft. Why aren't you starting the movie for another year? Why are you not? I mean, I'm sure there's some pre-production going on. I'm sure they're still working a script, but the fact that they're not even starting production on this until the first quarter, which could be as late as March of 2014, that means there's a lot of bad things that can happen between now and then. And for some reason, I got this sinking halo feeling in my stomach now about Warcraft, that I got this big fear something is going to go wrong and we're not going to see a Warcraft. I'm still going to put my trust in them. I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, yes, it's coming. I hope that it's coming. I want to see this movie. I just got the jitters about it because of when they're moving ahead, apparently. Amy Rose, what about you?
Doomsday is sitting at our table today, huh? I do hope that this just happens because Duncan Jones' Moon is one of my favorite sci-fi films. Sam Rockwell is one of my favorite actors, and I think Duncan just proved, again, and Source Code was interesting as well. I just think he's a really good director, and Warcraft lends itself really well with the narrative. Still, I want to see, the Halos of the world and Assassin's Creed and all of that, but I do think that this has a recipe to success. Now, with a game to film adaptation, there's a lot of players involved, a lot. They obviously acquired the rights and all of that, but there's still gaming publishers and all these other players who have to have a say in a lot of the things, making sure it's accurately portrayed and stuff. So I'm not really surprised in the delay, and this year is already flying so quickly, so 2014 is going to be here before we know it. So I don't really see any red flags. I don't share that sentiment, but I really hope that, steady updates, everything that they've been giving us to date is saying this is moving forward. So until I hear otherwise, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic.
All right, folks, well, we've reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Clark has a number of other issues in the world of movie news. She's going to go through them, and Amy Rose and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Clark, what do we got?
TV's Vampire Diaries and former Lost star Ian Somerhalder has signed on to star in the upcoming film The Anomaly. Also starring in the film will be Luke Hemsworth. In case you were wondering, yes, Luke is the third Hemsworth brother, along with Chris and Liam. The film is said to be about a traumatized ex-soldier who wakes up in the back of a van alongside a kidnapped boy to find that he only has 9 minutes and 37 seconds of consciousness to work out why and how he got there. Amy Rose, buy or sell the sounds of The Anomaly?
Huh. I will buy it. It does sound like 24 meets Buried meets some military fun project. Wow, the Hemsworths are really pimping out their children, huh? We'll
see. The Kardashians.
Yeah, we'll see if, Chris has proven himself, still waiting for Liam to shine, and we'll see what Luke's got. So, but I do find the whole Memento, kind of trace your steps, just all of that interesting. So hopefully it's good.
I'm going to hesitantly sell this one. It sounds to me like I like your analogy, Amy, but it sounds to me like a little bit more of a cross between, say, something like 24 and Source Code. Yeah. Speaking of Duncan Jones, it feels a little bit more like that. I do like Ian as an actor. Actually, I think he doesn't get. I think he's got a little bit of a Leonardo DiCaprio syndrome, that because he's a pretty boy, people won't take him seriously. But I think he's actually got some pretty decent acting chops. So I'm curious to see this, but I need to hear more. So for right now, it's a hesitant sell.
Chris is prettier. People don't doubt him.
The first pictures from the set of the new Michael Keaton film Birdman have hit the web. The film is described as a dark comedy that follows a former actor who once played an iconic superhero as he mounts a Broadway play based on a Raymond Carver short story in a bid to reclaim past glory. However, the play's egotistical leading man threatens to throw everything down the tubes. Keaton will be playing the comic book movie star trying to regain his credibility. Emma Stone is playing Keaton's daughter, who is fresh from rehab and now his assistant. Naomi Watts will play an actress in the play. Zach Galifianakis will play the production's conniving producer. And Edward Norton will play the egotistical leading man. John, buy or sell these Birdman images?
I buy these. First of all, the images look amazing, and that's what we're talking about. I think the images look great. And the guy in the costume is supposed to be, if you think, wow, that lower jawline looks like Michael Keaton, because that's supposed to be Michael Keaton's, a younger version of Michael Keaton in the suit. I think everything about this film sounds fascinating and original and sharp. It sounds like a little bit of a mix between, not Kick-Ass, Super. The one with Rainn Wilson. It sounds like a mix between a little bit of Super and Noises Off with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve. I think this looks amazing. I think it sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this. So for me, it's a big buy.
Buy as well. Yeah, the pictures are great and the cast is fantastic. And Edward Norton's one of my faves. And, you know, American History X, so great. And he's definitely had a lull of some interesting projects, maybe not the best ones. Moonrise Kingdom put him back on the map. I thought that he was wonderful in that movie. And I'm happy to hear him. I think this will be a really fun role for him. And Emma Stone, Zach Galifianakis, like, I think they're going to have really good chemistry. And we love the superhero content. So, yeah, bye.
Lionsgate has set an official release date for the Sylvester Stallone's The Expendables 3. The film will hit AMC theaters everywhere on August 15th, 2014. Most of the current cast is returning, and Jackie Chan, Wesley Snipes, Nicolas Cage, and Mila Jovovich in advanced negotiations to join him. Amy Rose, buy or sell the August 15th release date for Expendables 3?
Buy. They can put this wherever they want, and it's going to make money, so it doesn't really matter to me.
I'm going to sell it. I think this is a little bit aggressive. I don't think it's actually going to keep this date. They haven't even finalized their cast. They certainly don't have a production start date yet. And yet this movie's, the release date is just a little over a year from now. I can't see them making this date. So for me, and it's in the summer. I don't think this works well in the summer. So for me, it's going to be a hesitant sell.
With the revitalized interest in all things Oz due to the success of this year's Oz the Great and Powerful, plans have been made to re-release the original Wizard of Oz for a special one-week engagement in IMAX theaters starting on September 20th to help celebrate the iconic film's 75th anniversary. I will be there. Amy Rose, buy or sell The Wizard of Oz hitting IMAX?
Buy. I think it'd be nice to see this film in IMAX, and yeah, right, it's going to be a week. They're always like 1 week engagement, and then ticket sales soar, and they're like 2 weeks limited edition, and blah blah blah. So yeah, buy.
For me, this is a super enthusiastic buy. You know, I say this all the time. I've said this my whole life. The place to watch and experience a movie is in a movie theater with an audience and the giant screen, the surround sound. And this is one of the, I mean, without hyperbole, this is one of the greatest, most celebrated films of all time. And really, if you want to go back in history, this is the original IMAX movie. This is the movie before any other movie that was truly meant, even if it didn't know it at the time, to be seen on an IMAX screen. I'm super enthusiastic about this. I cannot wait to see this. So yeah, for me also, this is a very enthusiastic buy.
One of the most influential films.
Yeah, of all time. All right, folks, so we've reached that time for mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question that you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we get hundreds of emails from you guys every single day, so we've started a second show called AMC Mailbag. Now, on this show, we only have time for 3 or 4 questions. On AMC Mailbag, we do nothing but take your questions, and we do that show a couple times a week. So send in your question once again to amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and it could be answered on this show, or it could be answered on AMC Mailbag. Keep your eye open for both. Right now, we've got a few questions pulled out. Clark's got them in front of us. So Clark, what do we got?
Zachary Myers writes, longtime fan of the show. I have been a fan of C.S. Lewis's classic book series, The Chronicles of Narnia, since I can remember. I was curious about the advancement of the film series. I'll be the first to admit that the most recent edition was just bad, but the series is a classic. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it is a classic, actually. I'm a big fan of C.S. Lewis. Actually, I've read a lot of his work, and not just his fiction work. C.S. Lewis is actually, not a lot of people realize this, C.S. Lewis was actually a theologian. And so he's written a lot of very influential books, like the Screwtape Letters and things like that. And I'm actually a big fan of his work. Not a lot of people know this too. C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien of Lord of the Rings fame were very close friends. As a matter of fact, as the story goes, J.R.R. Tolkien actually converted C.S. Lewis to Christianity, and they were they were both professors at Oxford, and they were part of a literary group called the Inklings together. So obviously, and they're both of their writings obviously so influential, so important, and both so great. But the Chronicles of Narnia movies decreased in quality as they went. I thought the first one was really actually quite good. The second one not so much, and the third one, which switched studios, was really quite terrible. And I think now you're not only dealing with, well, can you make the movies good again, but you're fighting against a thing that I think people got tired of them, and I think people got, dissatisfied with the quality, as it lost all of its quality as the film series went on. I don't think a lot of people want to see more, and I think the studios know it would be an uphill battle to get people back into the theater to watch more Narnia that's not Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. So I think there were some talks about it, but I think those talks died, and I don't think we'll probably ever see them surface again. Amy Rose, what do you think?
That little history lesson, John, made me want to sing, "The More You Know." So funny. That was very interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I agree. I did love the book series, definitely read them. And I share your sentiment. The first film was good. It was magical. And, most of the time, the book to film adaptations, your imagination for a book series like Narnia is just all over the place. It's beautiful and rich, and it's very hard to translate that on the screen. Of course, it can happen. I mean, we saw what Peter Jackson did with Middle Earth. Right. So it can happen, and you can recreate that world, but I do think it's gone really downhill, and it's hard to kind of reignite interest in fans when the last two films have been disappointing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that we'll see more of those, and frankly, I don't really care. We'll stick to the books. They're the classics.
Edsel Laurel writes, "Hi, love the show. Was there ever going to be a sequel to Forrest Gump? I heard a few years ago that there were talks about it. Do you think there will ever be a sequel?"
As a matter of fact, I do know for a fact that there were some discussions about it. But I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, those discussions were very short and didn't actually go anywhere. And I've got to admit something up front. I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder about Forrest Gump. I don't give Forrest Gump the credit it deserves. It's a very good movie. It's an Academy Award-winning film, yeah. But I always think bad thoughts when I think of Forrest Gump, and here's why. Is because it is one of the participants in what I consider to be the greatest snub in Oscar history. Forrest Gump won Best Picture that year instead of one of the maybe top 10 greatest movies of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. It's funny now, today, you look at most critics' lists and top things of all time list, you will normally find Shawshank Redemption in the top 25, usually in all those lists. You will not find Forrest Gump on any of those lists. History has judged, and they have judged in favor of Shawshank Redemption. And so I always carry this chip on my shoulder very unfairly because Forrest Gump is a great movie, but I always get irritated when I think about that film because it snubbed Shawshank Redemption. But as far as I know, no sequel. Nor do I think we should want a sequel. I mean, that movie's so wrapped up that there is really nowhere else to go with that, in my opinion. Amy Rose, would you be interested in something like a Forrest Gump sequel?
I think it's been too long, and I don't carry a chip on my shoulder for this. I think Forrest Gump is an amazing film. Tom Hanks, I mean, just what he brought to that character, and Sally Field and Lieutenant Dan, and like everything about it. And Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite films. It's definitely in my top 10, but I don't really think that it was snubbed because the Academy is pretty damn predictable. Forrest Gump is much more of an Academy film than The Shawshank Redemption.
You think? I don't know. I would think Shawshank is actually like the template for what the Academy likes to look for.
I think that especially because Forrest Gump. Wow, weird.
Freudian slip.
Weird. It's not a dump. Forrest Gump. No, not a Freudian slip. Just a mistake. Forrest Gump. I think that, it deals with a lot of important times in history, spun in a, very imaginative, creative way to explain a lot of things that clearly are fictional. But I think that just, the whole veteran aspect and just what he contributed to the world and U.S. nations, and I definitely think it's an Academy picture. And it was a phenomenal movie. Both are, but Shawshank Redemption hits home a little more for me. But Forrest Gump is, what the hell? Forrest Gump is a classic. And I'm definitely not sad that it won because it's an amazing film. But it's been too long. Let that film rest where it lives.
And at the time of the Oscars, it had all that technology that was on the forefront. Yeah. And it just, I don't know, I think it was more of a moment movie than Shawshank was. Shawshank will live forever, though. Because even when you look back at Forrest Gump now, you're like, oh, that special effect is interesting.
I think it holds up.
Yeah, well, the acting does, that's for sure. Rob Hardy writes, "Hi, John, love your show. I know the superhero questions come up a lot, but once I heard Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish were directing, writing, producing AntMan, I couldn't resist. I don't know if Attack of the Block was well received in America, but it was in England. It did okay. Anyway, do you think the film will be comedic and slightly spoof the sci-fi superhero genre? Because I don't think that that will fit with the Marvel Universe. Your thoughts?
First of all, I'm glad you brought up. We don't talk enough about the fact that Joe Cornish has written the screenplay for this with Edgar Wright. Now, his film Attack the Block was really, really big in movie circles. What was it, about 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. That film came out. And I was late to the party with Attack the Block. And everybody just raved. This is the movie of the year. And this, like, all of the people in my circles were just like, John, this is incredible. It's incredible. You got to see it. And I watched it and I was completely underwhelmed. And I think that I became a little bit of a victim of unrealistic expectations that I built up for myself. I didn't love Attack the Block. But take that statement with a grain of salt that everybody else did. So if you haven't seen it, you might want to check it out. But it's very interesting. Now, as far as the question about, with Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish there, does that mean they're going to put some comedic spin on it and blah, blah? It's Iron Man, dude. I mean, Iron Man is loaded with comedy. Thor has a good amount of comedy in it. And I think within Iron Man and those films, especially Captain America too, there is elements of kind of spoofing the genre in and of itself. So when you're asking you fear may not fit in with Marvel, I actually think that those elements perfectly position it to fit in quite perfectly with the Marvel universe they've built up. I mean, it certainly wouldn't fit in with a DC universe and the Christopher Nolan Batman universe. No, that wouldn't fit at all. But I think with the Marvel universe they've set this up, I believe it actually fits in quite well, especially with anything Joss Whedon has his fingerprints on. So that's kind of the way I see it. Amy Rose, what about you?
Yeah, not to mention Avengers. Avengers was very, very comedic at times. Yeah. And, I think that's what makes the Marvel film so great is that while they're grounded in reality, they also don't take themselves too seriously. Yep. And to be superhero films, they do feel really grounded. And I think that's what makes them so great and so just tangible. Like we're there with them in this world. So I don't think it'll ruin it. Edgar Wright, I'm really excited to see his take. I think he's a great filmmaker, and I think that's one of the things he does really well is that he doesn't take it too seriously, and he really works so well with his actors. And I mean, look at the magic that him and Simon Pegg have done together. I mean, it's great. So I do think Ant-Man's going to be great, and just the little concept art and everything I saw about how the transformation's going to take place and all of that, I think it's going to be good. And if it does take itself too seriously, I think that's going to miss and isolate some people. So I think the balance of the two is the way to go.
All right, folks. Well, listen, that's it for us. That's all of our topics. But listen, hey, if you'd like to support our show, one of the things you can do to help us out a lot is by doing one of a couple things. Either go on down to the bottom of the video and click that thumbs up button. That helps us out a great deal. Subscribe to our channel. If you subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel, it'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course our daily AMC Movie Talk show and our brand new AMC Mailbag show that we do a couple times a week. Another thing you can really do that would help us out is embed our show on your Facebook page. You can see the embed codes down below. Just grab them, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Help spread the good word about AMC Movie Talk. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our host today, Ms. Clark Wolf. Clark.
Thank you for having me, John.
The Associate Editor of Movie News here at AMC Theaters, Ms. Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you very much.
And most of all, thank you to you guys. Listen, I say this all the time, but it's absolutely true. The most important part of the show is certainly not what we have to say. It's what you have to say. Make sure you jump on down to the comment section, leave your thoughts on any or all the topics we discussed here today. Agree or disagree, let's have a movie conversation. I guarantee you, we read every single comment that's down there. So thanks a lot for joining us, and until next time, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.